Welcome back to the Men of Culture podcast by AFK Gaming. My name is Nishant, and today's conversation is with Piyush Kumar, the co-founder and CEO of Rooter. Rooter is a gaming and esports live streaming and video content app. It's been a hell of a journey to watch Rooter go from being a sports-based streaming startup to now pivoting into the esports and gaming world, and having raised a $16 million Series A round. We talked to Piyush about the challenges he's faced so far, as well as what's next for the app. I must say, this is one of the most refreshing and insightful conversations that I've had on this podcast in a while, and I do hope that you enjoy it as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Piyush, pleasure connecting with you. I know you've got your hands busy right now with BGMS and Rooter being the exclusive online streaming partner. How's that going for you? How are things at the BGMS tournament?
Hey Nishan, good to connect. Thanks so much for inviting me here. Always been following your content and so glad we are talking. BGMS is quite exciting. In fact, we didn't, for us, the biggest question mark was, how well we'll be able to handle the scale, given it's the biggest IP in India and it goes on stars. So the visibility is much higher. And we are the exclusive digital partner. But I think the entire team has done a fantastic job. The response has been very good. We have already hit 250,000 concurrent viewers multiple times in the first 4-5 days. And still 2.5 weeks to go. I think we should break some records and create a good milestone for viewership. And yeah, very exciting. It's been a great fun, the build up to that, as well as what we are going through right now.
Lovely. Piyush, tell me about you, right? Who are you inside and outside of work? What's your experience in gaming like? And, outside of gaming, what do you like to do?
Well, first and foremost, I've been in the corporate sector for a very, very long time. I actually started working almost 21, 22 years back. And I spent first almost 12, 13 years in consumer marketing roles. I was head of marketing for Swatch Group for 5 years. Before Rooter, I was with Dish TV, which is a DTH company, and I was in advertising. So, and then Rooter happened as my first journey as an entrepreneur. And as God has been kind. It's been 7 years. We are still playing it. So for me, I'm firstly an out and out sports person. I play 5-6 days a week. I watch pretty much everything which is available in terms of live sports. Gaming is something that I started to be very, very intrigued about almost 6-7 years back, and particularly since PUBG came in. So that is actually the time when I actually got into, say, a hardcore gaming. But I've been a gamer through my life. But again, my gaming has been limited to sports games. So played FIFA and number of tennis games and, a lot of these stick cricket kind of a game over a period of time. And and for me, I when you are a part of a gaming industry, the kind of energy you get and the kind of work you do is always exciting, because it's a very, very desirable career. And for me to be able to do this after I turned 40 is incredible. So I'm quite glad I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I share that sentiment with you. Maybe not the part about being 40. I'm nearly there myself, but being able to work in gaming, something that we've loved all our lives, is certainly something that excites me as well. Tell me something. The sad reality for most of us in gaming is that we don't get too much time to actually play the games ourselves. Is that a fact and truth for you as well?
No, not really. And I'll tell you the biggest reason for that is I have a 7.5-year-old son. He actually was hugely into, or still is hugely into Lego for the last 3-4 years, which I think is a kind of a gaming, because it's been a great exercise. I've been building Legos with him, and now I'm seeing him build Legos which are almost 13 plus. But it's been about 3 years, I'll say, that he's kind of getting into gaming. He gets limited time on the PlayStation, and he's kind of picking it up. But as we speak, I'm actually learning with him to ensure that he picks up Minecraft and Roblox quite well. I think for a 7-year-old, it's a pretty good. These are two good games, and I think it's time that he kind of becomes a gamer and sees how it is from here. So I get a bit of a time to be in the world of gaming beyond work because of him. And then I always carry a PlayStation Vita with me, which is actually a 2014 model, which I carry with me every time I travel. It's a secret which very few people know. And whenever in a flight or whenever I just want to kind of, just ease out for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, I play a few games which are there. So I'm there, but no, yeah, I mean, we are not as lucky as, these amazing players who are playing it and practicing it 10, 15 hours a day. It's crazy what they do.
Awesome. That's a refreshing thing to hear, right? When a parent says, it's high time my son became a gamer, it's music to my ears. Tell me what you're most excited about at Router right now. You guys recently raised your round. I think it was a $16 million round. You talked about focusing on profitability and ironing out unit economics. Tell me product-wise, what's most exciting at Router right now?
Yeah, I think the most exciting part about our business and when we pivoted into gaming in 2020, and this was our biggest thesis, is that, Router being a content platform and a tech-led product is perhaps building the most all-season gaming product that will come up in a market like India, or for that matter, how Twitch grew in the West market, which means that in the last 10 to 12 years that Twitch has been around, multiple games have come and gone, multiple communities have grown, people have become a decade older, but the relevance of which has always been there because it remained a content platform which helps games and creators build communities, right? The most exciting part about Router right now is that, in spite of the fact that we have seen multiple incidents happening in Indian gaming environment over the last 2-3 years, we have always managed to find a very strong reason to keep building the product, keep growing the product. And that's because we are not, we are a very democratized product. Any game which is growing in India, any community which is growing in India would find Router perhaps a lot more, relevant. And therefore, the possibilities of building a content-led technology platform is quite immense. Very rarely you get to work on a product which can achieve any scale, given everything that we do it well, and we have all the right support from the ecosystem. That is the most exciting part. The fact that, there is an infinity symbol in Router, that infinity symbol is for something else I can explain. But the fact that there are infinite possibilities with Router or something like Router in this space is the thing that keeps me most excited.
So let's touch upon that a bit. What is the infinity symbol for in Router?
Okay, so Router, so first, when I was starting the company back in 2016, I was very, very excited about branding because I come from the world of branding, and I was like, at least one thing I should get right. And we'll talk about branding, and I'll give you one more story about it. And when I started looking for the name, I was very excited with the way Twitter came up, right? So Twitter is a name which is a noun, an adjective, a verb, so you have you tweeted yet? How many tweets? Twitter is a platform. So I was very excited about the way it is, and I was, constantly looking for a name, and suddenly I found Router, which was not used anywhere else besides a big plumbing company in US, which is called Roto-Rooter. So they had blocked Router.com, but everything other than that was available. And Router technically means a fan, actually a sports fan. You say, whom are you rooting for and stuff like that. So very, very excited. I always wanted a small case brand name because I'm a big fan of subtlety, and I think uppercase stands for something else second, and then the infinity symbol actually stands for, so if you notice, there are two colors. The color on the top is blue, the color on the bottom is red on the two sides of infinity. So what it stands for is connecting a lot of infinite passionate is the red one, passionate fans under the sky. So this is what it stands for. And, we had double O, and double O could be converted into infinity. And we purposely didn't want any sports element in the logo. And, as luck has it, that thankfully we didn't, because once we switched to gaming, we would have had to change the logo. So logo has remained the same. And I personally never think we'll change the logo. I mean, as long as, I have it under my control, I will ensure that the logo never changes. So that is what, so I think we got that right. It has a good, ring to it. People remember the name. A lot of people used to call it Router or few such funny names, initially Rooster and Router and all that. But I think in the last 12 months, the team has done an incredible job to make the brand quite salient. So yeah, very excited about what Router will become in the future.
Good stuff. You mentioned that, Twitch has sort of become a cultural phenomenon beyond just the games that people watch on Twitch, right? While that's certainly an exciting prospect, I also see that as a sort of challenge for Router, right? And not just Twitch. I think there's YouTube in India, which has really cemented its space as the go-to platform for gaming and live stream content. How does Router overcome this? And beyond just competition, what kind of challenges are you facing today, given the environment?
Yeah. So let's deep dive into the product. I'll tell you what we have learned over the last 2-3 years, which will give you an idea about how we are thinking. So first and foremost, there are two fundamental difference between Twitch and Router. Okay, two fundamental difference. And Router is scaling, and Router is stated to scale basis those two fundamentals. Number one, Twitch is built on games which are more PC and console games. So if you look at the top 10 or 15 games, in top 10 there are no mobile games, and of course in top 15 there'll be probably one or two. So fundamentally, the communities which are built on Twitch, or we have spoken with people from Amazon and AWS, which manages Twitch, etc., they are very clear that they want to continue building it for the developed markets. And they're perhaps looking at Brazil right now, which is a 50% mobile and 50% PC and console market. So one, the fact that there is a huge opportunity globally for somebody to build a Twitch for mobile games. Okay. And that product will come out from an emerging market. Because emerging market is India is a 99% mobile market, 98.8% to be precise, as per the Bhumika report. So that's one. Second is Twitch calls themselves a streaming platform, right? If you go and search what is Twitch, Twitch is a live streaming platform. They don't call even themselves a gaming platform. Gaming is perhaps their biggest use case, which is now switching to IRL and just chatting and multiple other things. Now, for us, so that is a separate thing. That for them, the content format that works is live stream, and the DNA of that product is built around that. For us at Router, the most important aspect from day one was that we are building it for a very different audience and a different market, which is led by mobile games. Yes, there were multiple hiccups in terms of games coming and going, but fundamentally, all of us knew that if there are about 750 million smartphone users, 500 million gamers, a sizable number of them will actually graduate in their gaming journey by playing more and more games on their mobile, and not actually on acquiring a different device or something like that. So for us, therefore, the most important aspect is that we are focusing on games that can be played on mobile, and we are very bullish about it. Well, the games currently are doing very well. All studios are pushing it quite a lot. Lot of studios are coming up with mobile versions, etc. The second part is that all the new development of games in India which are happening, they are also mobile first games, right from what Super Gaming is doing, or Hypernova is doing, or 4G is coming, or what MPL is doing. There are a lot of these games which are coming. So we therefore definitely feel that India is going to be a mobile gaming market, and therefore we are focusing on that. The second aspect of our journey has been that in the initial 1.5, 2 years, we focused a lot on streaming content. So when we got our first 20-25 million downloads in gaming, streaming content was doing well for them, because those were the people who are closest to the gaming community, and they always came to Router knowing that they have 30 minutes to spend on a live stream, and they would end up spending that. Also, there was a COVID factor at that point in time. But as we kind of started to enter 2022, we realized that the next 30-40 million downloads, so Router has 70 million downloads right now, out of which about 55-60 million are only on Android. So when we looked at the pattern of the next 25-30 million downloads, we realized that these guys may or may not have enough time to watch live streams. So we first came up with videos and eventually launched shorts, which is basically reels, of gaming in May 22. And within a year, the consumption of shorts became so good that from about 3-4 reels per user per day, it's about 22-23 reels per user per day. In fact, if you go on the app right now, you would be amazed with the kind of work users or the team is doing with BGMS reels. The quality of reels, the sharing has become so easy. You can just, exactly the way TikTok used to function, you can just share reels, and it won't come as a link. It will actually come like a video or something like that. So what we therefore realize is that if you're looking to build a streaming or a gaming content platform for Indian gaming audience, you cannot rely on live streams. You have to actually build it with multiple content formats. In fact, the reason we launched IRL was, of course, the fact that BGMI was not fully available during the last, those 10 months. But we also saw Twitch. And on Twitch, just chatting has become bigger than even League of Legends, which is the number one game. So we said, let's give it a shot. And it's done very well. A lot of gamers, a lot of, different content creators have come. And IRL is something that we are building parallelly on the same platform. So our biggest advantage is that given the fact that we think tech first and we think content first and we are not sticking to one particular format has given us a very great advantage of building multiple formats. And of course, the personalization of content and using AI ML to ensure that the right user gets the right content, etc., is just distributing the content well. So this has been fundamentally our biggest difference. Besides the fact that, if I can take 1 more minute, I just want to add one more point, that besides the fact that from day zero, when we launched Router's gaming product in June 2020, right in the middle of the COVID, the first feature we launched was actually not the homepage. It was the streaming tool. So, and we have stood with our thesis that in India, like Twitch today has 9 million monthly creators, right? Twitch 3 years back or 4 years back had 4 million monthly creators, right? Router today has 1 million monthly creators, or it was 1.2 few months back. Now, we fundamentally believe that the leader in this space will be the one that will have 3 to 4 million monthly creators. Because in gaming, so gaming is not like social media where 1 to 1.5% people creating content can service 500 million users, right? If in gaming, like Twitch today is 130 million monthly active users, for 130 million monthly active users, about 9 million people are creating content. Same with Router, about 14 million on app and 19 million overall monthly users we have, about 1 million people are creating content. So 7 to 8% percentage of people creating content is important, and which is why we have always believed that creating gaming content or going live on streams or creating reels or IRL should be as easy as what Instagram has done in our life, that wherever we go, we just, take out Instagram, click pictures, make it palatable and people consume. So fundamentally, the fact that we focus equally on content creation and content consumption, the fact that we are focusing on 3 different content formats, the fact that we believe IRL will play a very important role in building gaming content, and lastly, the fact that mobile gaming will drive the consumption pattern in India is what we, fundamentally believe in, and we think this is a great moat that we have built over the last 2 years, and numbers are reflecting the same.
Excellent. So on that note, right, how do you convince a gamer or a live streamer or someone that wants to get into content creation? How do you convince them that Router is the place to be on, and just to actually create on Router, and you'll get rewarded on Router, you'll get viewed on Router? What's the messaging there?
See, very simple. We have the maximum number of active users and downloads in the community right now, and it is a public data. You go on a platform like Sensor Tower, you'll see that we are getting about 3 to 4 million downloads a month consistently for the last almost 15, 16 months. And we have a very good retention, and we are like almost 10, 15x of the next player in the market. So one, the fact that we have a lot of viewers and it is reflective of the kind of viewership people get, whether it is a reels or a video or something, is the fact that they'll be able to grow much faster. And we have seen multiple such examples. Our homegrown streamers have crossed 1 million, 2 million followers. People like Jonathan, when they came, he crossed almost 1 million followers in almost 3 to 4 months actually. So it is fundamentally our algorithm pushes good content to come up on the feed, and that is what helps people get more viewership. So that's one. Second is the fact that there are multiple ways to get monetized on Router. So one, of course, we do a direct MG deal with good creators. Second is there is a proper creator program under which, depending on your viewership, your likes, your comments, as we call it, watch hours, you'll be able to monetize your content. So it's a completely algorithm, driven process, very number driven process, a 40-member team that works with over almost, 4 to 5,000 creators to ensure that they get the buck of the content that they're creating, and they continue to make money out of what we do. In fact, 2% of these 1 million people are making money. So 20,000 people on Router make money by creating content every month. This number used to be actually 40,000 plus. We have brought it down because of the funding winter, and we are trying to taper it down and focusing on good creators more. Third, the fact that there is a gifting on Router, and we have seen great numbers on, viewers gifting diamonds to the creators, and diamonds gets converted into the actual money for the creator. So gifting is doing well. Very early days. It's not like a very skyrocketing number, but the fact that we have been doing it for a year, we are quite hopeful it will scale well. And last but not the least, the fact that we are the only player in the market which is monetizing right now. A lot of these creators get multiple influencer marketing deals directly from us. Brands like Setwet, Mountain Dew, Lenskart, almost 50 brands over the last 1 year have done different deals with different creators. So that is another way that they make. So the fact that one, we give them the best tools, the fact that we help them grow their audience better, and the third, the fact that they can monetize. I think these are the three most important aspects of a creator believing in us and sticking with us for a long time.
Very interesting. And, I want to touch upon the monetization part a little later. For now, I want to dive into the esports versus gaming dilemma, right? As a platform, you've always got to make a choice. Do I want to attract more of the casual gamers that are creating content for their small communities? Or do I want to go big with BGMS style tournaments, right? Which may be probably more costly to get on board onto your platform. How do you think through this? What works better on Router and why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we are fundamentally very, very excited about the creator ecosystem or the overall combination of streams, videos, and reels that gets made on the platform. We think the possibilities of building a all-season streaming or a video or a reels content is far, far more than anything else in the market. Purposely, we didn't do too many esports tournament in the first. See, when we started monetizing about a year back, we first cracked the monetization model for live streams, videos, and reels. Okay. So it was important for us to build that ecosystem first, which is why we signed up a number of teams and built a lot of creators, launched reels. Like we have reels creators that are almost 500 to 1,000 creators. So we have really built that ecosystem well. But now that we have access to revenue, now that we are making revenue close to about $500,000 to $600,000 a month, we have access to a lot of brands which are ready to sponsor esports tournament. So we now have started to invest in esports IPs because we are now monetizing them. And again, no other content platform in the market is monetizing them except us. I'll give you an example. We did the first tournament with Nodwin in June, which was called Masters Series, if I'm not wrong. Lenskart came as the principal sponsor and they were very, very excited about how they pushed their, important products, particularly the blue screen product, etc. Then we did another tournament with Revenant in July, which Wildstone came as a sponsor. And currently in BGMS, we have already seen 2-3 sponsors from our end, including Lenskart and TVS and Creo. And you will see many more brands joining this week onwards, right? Our idea is that about 6 to 8 brands, and these are not brands which are putting in like a small money or something. These are brands which are substantially investing in it. So, and that is the discussion I had with Akshat or everybody else in the esports ecosystem, that we are only going to pick IPs which we can monetize at our end. We don't want to use investors' money or equity money to get content which we can't monetize, because these are expensive content and it needs to be monetized to a large extent. And at some point in time, these will become profitable IPs. So this year we may invest in esports IPs and we may not be profitable in each one of them. But we believe that if we continue doing this, keep winning trust of the esports tournament organizers as well as brands, we'll be able to really make esports a very monetizable and a very profitable thing. So esports is very important because these are the right spikes that generate interest in the creators who are like a lot of our creators are actually doing watch parties right now in BGMS. Now it's a great opportunity. They may not be esports player, but they're sitting at the same venue. They are living and breathing with the same set of people and are becoming, close to the ecosystem. So esports tournaments are a great way for us to build those spikes under which a lot of different creators will get built. And therefore we'll continue to invest in esports, but we will only pick up properties which are reasonable and which we can monetize at our end. And we think we should be able to do it. So it's a balance now. I mean, if you were to ask me this question 6 months back when there were no game or when we were not doing too much esports, I would have said that the reason we don't invest is because we can't monetize at this stage. But now that we are able to monetize and there is proof in the pudding, we think a balance of both will work. And the possibilities of esports becoming large very quickly is very high right now. And a streaming partner really needs to push that particular part, which we are trying to do.
So as far as media rights deals go with tournament organizers, there seems to be this tussle, right? If as Router you have purchased the digital streaming rights from BGMS, should you be entitled to go ahead and monetize that in its entirety? Or should the tournament organizer be monetizing some of it and then the competing brands can't be monetized by Router? How does this work? This seems like a sticky point between TOs and media platforms like yours.
No, I'll be very honest. I think everybody is maturing quite a lot in the current ecosystem. I'll give you an example. TVS is the sponsor that both Nodwin has got for a separate reason and we have got for a separate reason, right? TVS is doing something else with Nodwin at the venue, and they're doing something else with us on the streets, on the live feed, which is coming on Router. So this is one example. There are multiple such examples of the way integrations are happening. I think the way this ecosystem needs to mature is, esports, we don't need to go too far to learn how esports should be built in India. There is a classic example of sports properties. Just look at IPL, right? BCCI creates a property like IPL, decides to pick the streaming or the broadcasting partners, only closes maybe 2 or 3 or 4 sponsors at their end from a whatever presenting or a master sponsorship perspective. After that, it goes to the second level where a streaming partner and a TV partner monetizes at their end and picks up different brands to do it. And then it goes at the third level where teams pick up different brands, maybe same brands or whatever, and they go in to do it. This is exactly how esports will function. And constantly when I talk to most of the esports tournament organizers, this is exactly the lines we are working with. That all of us will need to draw a line that if, for example, we are getting a certain brand, then we are getting that brand not to just make money for ourselves, but to fund the IP that we are buying from you. And what we really like, for example, in the few deals that we have done recently, and I'm mentioning Nodwin more because we have done 2 tournaments with them and both are large scale tournaments, is because these guys understand this and that has allowed us to kind of really monetize it well. And we are constantly talking about how do we keep doing it in future and not just buy it from, the other money that we have. So I think there is a process to it. I think there are clear mandates which are shown in the sports industry, and we just need to keep following that. And the way, I can tell you one thing that one more thing we are very excited about is the fact that almost all brands, endemic and non-endemic brands, are looking at gaming in a way that maybe a year or 2 years from now, we would be amazed with the kind of money which is flowing in from the brands, worlds to esports and gaming. It's amazing. Everybody has a brand brief. Right from any category, you pick up a category and they're wanting to do it. I was in Singapore 2-3 months back, and I learned that One Esports has got 2 banking partners in esports. One of them is HSBC. And I was like, how do you convince a bank to partner esports? And he said, banks are looking at young customers, and for them, they know that gaming is perhaps the best way to acquire young customers. Lot of things will open up. We are literally at a stage where things will start to scale a lot from here.
That's good news for gaming and esports fans and industry enthusiasts like myself. Tell me about the Router gamer, right? What do they like to consume? Who are they? Where are they from? What's the typical Router user like?
No, we have had, our community has been built around games. There's no like a game neutral audience. It's always the game that leads a user or a viewer or a streamer to Router. Fundamentally, we built our first phase of growth came from Free Fire. One of the reasons Router grew in that PUBG ban period and also the BGMS ban period was because we have had a loyal Free Fire audience for a very, very, very long time. And we will perhaps have better Free Fire audience than any other player in the market. So one is that we have a very decent and Free Fire audience is a very tier 2, tier 3 audience, much more loyal. Their time spent on Free Fire surprisingly is much more than BGMI. If you look at Lumikai report and a couple of other reports as well, 107 minutes versus, if I'm not wrong, about 80 or 85, 90 minutes. Because again, people spend more time, you have more time in the smaller towns. Then BGMI has done very well for us. We have always had great set of streamers. The team understands the nuances and that is something that is built. So BGMI is very tier 1, tier 2. So I think between the 2 games, that's the beauty about 2 games. Free Fire gives you very high engagement, little less monetization opportunities, but very good engagement. Tier 2, tier 3. BGMI gives you good monetization opportunities because the quality of audience is slightly different. They are more metro because you need better phones to play BGMI, etc. And engagement is also accordingly good. We tried a bit on Valorant. We are not very successful on Valorant. That's the reason we are not pushing Valorant too much. I think Valorant Mobile will change things. For some reason, we did invest in few properties. We didn't get like a great growth out of it, but we're very optimistic that it will be something we'll be investing in. And the two games that we are currently focusing on is Minecraft and GTA 5. Minecraft particularly is mind-blowing. If you look at their numbers, the stickability, the propensity to pay for a Minecraft gamer is very high. We have got Gamers Fleet, who's the biggest Minecraft streamer currently on Router, and very exciting content. So we are very, very focused on Minecraft across the three formats, which is streaming, videos, and reels, more on videos and reels. And then GTA 5 is another one, which is very exciting, particularly because both Minecraft and GTA 5 are very story-led games, right? You can actually, if you're a great storyteller and you are able to bring the nuances of Bharat and music and your local thing, you can really build that audience well. So I think between these four games, we're doing fairly well at this stage, plus IRL. And yeah, we've done a sort of a partnership with Hypernova, and we are also talking to Super Gaming. I think the idea here is that we'll like to partner the games early to see if we can build a very loyal community for them on our platform and take things from there.
Interesting. Do you have any surprising insights or fun stories of Router users, that you'd like to share with us here?
Okay, in surprising story, I mean, there are many stories. I think I run the biggest call center for Router and the reason I'm saying this is because one, my number is flashes on the web if you look at Router. So I've got like thousands of messages on different feedback mechanism. Plus, I opened my Instagram. I made it a public account about a year back, and I am interacting with community like never before. Like ever since BGMS has started, I've got about 30, 40 comments on this can get better, that can get better. So I think story wise, I mean, I'll try and remember a story and I'll come back to you during our conversation. But one thing which is very exciting is that one place where people really liked what we do is when I did a podcast with Ranveer Alabadi, the Beer Biceps, because it was interesting. I never prepared for it. I met Ranveer, and Ranveer said, let's do it in Hindi because Hindi gets a good response. And he said, and I told him, I said, let's not talk about Router because I frankly think it's too early for us to talk about Router at a scale that you are in. So why don't we talk about something which is more general? He said, let's talk about gaming audience. Who are gamers? How do they make money, etc. And we did that in Hindi, and I think that's the only one that I've done it in Hindi. And it got tremendous response. I mean, I got like, I don't know, maybe 100, 200, 300 messages where gamers came back and told me that we could not explain to our parents what gaming is and how it is a career. And we made them listen to this podcast, and all credit to Ranveer for that because he asked the right question and we could do it. So I think that was a very interesting story because we only spoke about gamers. We didn't speak about Router. We didn't much speak about my journey or anything. Yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting world. There's something or the other keeps happening. It's quite exciting.
Sure. Another thing I wanted to touch upon with you is you had Johnny and you had Godlike and, a bunch of cool creators on the platform.
Yeah.
What were your key learnings from those partnerships?
I think, see, from a Godlike perspective, we got them on board at the right time. Things were doing. I mean, the unfortunate part is that BGMI got banned 3 months after we signed them, and we stayed with them for the entire contract because we believed that that was a very important partnership, and we quite liked all those guys. Our key learning is the fact that what we wanted to see over a period of time was that if the top creators move away from YouTube, how is the audience behavior? So, for example, Johnny didn't go live on YouTube for a very, very long time. He was more active on Router, and that is what pretty much everybody else did during the contract. That is why the contract is. And we did see that the traction these guys got was quite amazing. So, very clear use case of the fact that if a dedicated streaming or a gaming platform builds the perfect use case for these large creators to come and stream on their platform, the audience does move. Okay, and that is there. The question that we faced and something that we have to solve over a period of time is that how do we monetize these kind of creators at scale? Who pays for them, right? How do you ensure that if you're paying X money for these creators, where does the money come from? So we have solved it to a certain extent, but I think that is one way in which we like to solve over the next one and a half years. And whether users pay for it in a subscription model, gifting model, whether creators have their own subscription model where they are able to make money out of Router, or for that matter, we managed to cut a very long brand deal for these teams and these creators to do it. But as I said at the beginning, that for us, it is very important that the content that we are bringing on Router has to be monetizable. And Godlike did very well on Router. We are very excited with the way partnership is. And we think that over a period of time, all the teams and the top creators will have a very strong reason to stick to Router and would understand what a dedicated platform of gaming can do to them versus multiple other platforms which are there, particularly YouTube, which, like YouTube is not going anywhere else. We totally get it. I mean, there is no bigger growth channel for Router than YouTube. It's a great way for us to acquire creators and viewers. But the fact that there are a lot of things that YouTube can't do, being such a large, successful content platform, is something that a dedicated platform can do, is the opportunity that we have at this stage.
Awesome. Let's dive deeper into the monetization angle, right? You mentioned I think during the funding release that you're shooting for profitability by April 2024.
Yeah.
What are the key levers over there? That's one. And the second one, before this escapes my mind, you mentioned you're doing about $500,000 USD in revenue per month today. What's the kind of breakup over there? What are the key drivers of your revenue, and is it programmatic? Is it direct? How does that work?
So, for us, we started actually focusing on, so we first started our monetization journey with performance marketing ads during the 2021 startup boom. Pretty much every app, every platform was using Router to acquire gamers, and we got to about $250,000 per month revenue in no time. That was the first leg. Then about 15, 16 months back, we formed our core sales team and led by Ayush, who's our chief business officer. And then we started to reach out to brands, started getting impaneled in agencies, etc., which took some time. And now that has grown very well. We have good relationships across agencies, across brands. We are doing multiple projects in future with them. There's a lot of trust which has come in with all these brands having already done work with Router. So 95% of our revenue is coming from brands. It is a combination of ads, performance marketing, influencer marketing, sponsorship, content IPs, anything that a brand needs to reach out to the gamer, we sort of solve for them. And 5% is coming from users, where users go to Router shop and actually buy a gaming currency called Diamond to gift to the user. That is one way we are launching commerce. I've already said this in multiple forums. We are launching commerce within next week, 10 days. And we're doing multiple other things. So the key target of Router over the next 12 months is to take our user revenue contribution to the overall revenue from about 3 to 5% to 10 to 12%, maybe 15% over the next 12 to 18 months. I think at that point in time, we will perhaps tick all boxes for a good business to scale. Because user revenue has to be a 30, 35%, 40% contribution to overall revenue. Say at a scale when we are making $30, $40 million ARR, maybe 2 years from now, 2.5 years from now. So that is how the revenue breakup looks like. As I said, very good ARPU market. To answer your question, we don't actually use programmatic much. Almost 80, 90% of the brands which are coming to Router are direct deals through agencies or through brands. And the reason is simple, that given the fact that industry is at an early stage, our impressions are quite huge. The numbers are quite huge, but still it is not very good to really rely on programmatic to drive it. So, and the demand side is also very good from brands. So I think that matchmaking is happening very well. But yeah, as we scale, we will start to use programmatic much more, and to balance out the right CPM sort of a cost for both the models through which we can earn money. Coming to your next, then just making one very important point, that we believe that as soon as you enter a Series A stage, you have to show path to revenue. We started doing it before we raised our Series A of the round led by Lightbox, and we started to scale it in the last 12 months to do it. Now that we are looking at a Series B maybe next year, we want to go to investors and say, we've got user revenue proof on our platform, right? We can show you that 10 to 15% of our revenue is coming from users. These are the trends. So that when they invest that large money, we are able to use that money to grow and not to really make or discover a new medium. So that has always been a great advantage for Router, that we think money first, and all credit to the entire team to, help me really build and actually execute this strategy and not just talk about it in different forums. Lastly, on profitability, see, it's one thing that every startup business has learned over the last 12 months is that you cannot run a very high burn business and survive in this market or any other market. I think that learning has come in. We were thankfully never a very high burning business, which allowed us to put the burn under a certain limit very quickly. Touch wood, we never had to, think about our team, nothing like that. We were just able to balance it out well, and we could also raise around. We therefore are quite sure that anytime between 1 million to 1.2 million monthly revenue will be able to turn profitable. So we are about $400,000, $500,000 from there. Whenever it happens over the next 3 to 5 months, even if it takes 10 months, we are in no rush because BGMI has come back and this is a phase where we are again investing a lot in the ecosystem. As long as the burn is under control, a business can become profitable. And we fundamentally believe that it is always good to, what I call it, taste profitability early in your journey, rather than doing it when you are burning $10 million a month, where it is not possible if your revenue has not scaled. So again, these are all learnings. We are living with it day in and day out. We are discussing it with our investors and sharing our learnings every month. And I think we'll get there in some time. But the idea here is that what I'm sharing with you is how we think, and we think this is the only way to build a scalable business.
Yeah, I agree. My next question was going to be true or false. Profitability is non-negotiable. I think your answer would be resounding true at this point.
100%. I think, the point is that even if you don't become profitable and you continue to invest in the ecosystem or in your product, you should have a very clear visibility of it, which means you can just turn off a tap and become profitable the next couple of months. So that is one. And second is the fact that, nobody knows how market is growing. We are as founders, we are responsible for our team, for our shareholders, for our creators. So we cannot take anything for granted. So we need to continue talking profitability in every meeting, and do it when the time is right.
Excellent. What's your team size like right now?
We are about 117 member team, or everybody based out of New Delhi. 50 to 52% of these people are only tech guys, engineers working either on product or on the tech. About 30% is community, which works with the creator ecosystem. About 10% is the revenue team, and the rest is support staff like myself. So very good mix of people, very good age group allocation between a lot of young guys who are very close to the community, to the gaming industry. And most importantly, some amazing engineers who have been with us for a long time and have built on this scalable product.
How far are you from going to the international markets?
International, I fundamentally believe that any international market ideally should have an investment of $8 to $10 million. Going with $1 million to $2 million is just about, ticking a box and saying we are present in that market. It doesn't make sense, right? I don't think it's going to happen in the next maybe 8 to 10 months. So either we reach profitability in India and invest the remaining money in, say, a market like MENA or, say, in Indonesia or anywhere else in South Asia, or we ensure that we prove that we have built a very nice, scalable, sustainable business in India, which gives us enough confidence for new investors to come in and give us money to go and launch, say in Indonesia or in MENA region. Having said that, there's a lot of work happening in these two markets. We are learning about creators, we are in touch with creators, but we have never done anything half-hearted and for the sake of making an announcement. We'll do it when the time is right. And as I said right at the beginning, that the Twitch version for mobile gaming in the world will come from an emerging market and would come from a product which is very solid tech, or rather a tech-led product. And we have a very fair chance on it. So we'll get there at the right time.
Awesome. Just a couple of questions before we wrap up here, Piyush. And I must say, this has been a very refreshing conversation. You talked about performance marketing being the code that you've cracked, right? You got to about $250,000 revenue with performance marketing, and then you're up to about $500,000 now. That to me seems like one of the hardest problem statements to solve when big tech has been doing it for years, right? How have you solved this? What insights can you give us on folks looking to convert just impressions into clicks, into actual acquisitions and some sort of meaningful actions? How has Rooter cracked this?
So a number of things. I think first and foremost, you need to know your audience very, very well. So we, for example, the reason we did it right at the beginning, and I'm talking about 2021 is when we actually scaled this, is because we were able to map the right apps to the right user. So we, so that is the main thing, that do you have an algorithm-based process where you either know which app somebody has downloaded or you're able to push it at the right minute and sort of push to do it? So that is one. Second is the fact that we also, tried using different incent models, non-incent models to push people to download certain apps and see how their performance is. We also worked very closely with multiple tech companies to actually do a tracking of data on a regular basis to understand how our users are doing on their platform, right? And currently, for example, there's a different problem. Now, brands are not just looking at downloads, they're looking at deposits, they're looking at sale, they're looking at, multiple other conversion factors, and the KPIs have changed. So to answer your question, I think the biggest asset that we have is that we have an audience which is not available in many other platforms, but they are available on Facebook and Google, but we can give them this audience at least a 20% less cost, then they'll perhaps get it on Google and Facebook. And the idea is that then we don't just go out in the market and say that we'll be bigger than Facebook and Google. Nobody's going to be bigger than them at this stage. But there are ways in which every company is trying to crack this code. Like Amazon has cracked this code by giving a very strong reason for their products which are listed over there to advertise on Amazon. We have learned that Meesho is doing very well as far as e-commerce is concerned. In a very similar manner, if content consumption and in-app purchase and, edutech or multiple other such categories have a relevance to our product, we can build that use case quite well. So honestly, it's not very difficult. The only thing is that you need to know your audience very well. You need to have a very strong audience mapping. And then you need to, map that audience to the brand very well and have a very strong way for them to convert. So that has done well. And that was the question I think you asked.
Yeah, maybe if you could just touch upon that a bit more and tell us, what's one of your proudest deliveries, in performance marketing? Which brand have you been happy to work with?
Well, I think we did Jio. We did a very, very large campaign of Jio Cinema during IPL this year. We were very, very proud of it because Jio Cinema was the talk of the town and we did a fairly large campaign with them. I remember in 2021, we did a lot of work with edutech companies. All three of them were advertising quite a lot on Router and we were able to give them good audience. Again, a moment where we were very, very proud. We also worked very closely with content platforms like Moj and Josh in 2021 again. Had a good CPI, we were able to convert them and give them very good audience. So there are multiple campaigns. I think Jio is the latest one which has done very well for us. The idea, and we do a lot of work with ACT right now. We do a lot of work with Airtel right now. We ran a very strong campaign for KFC right now. So all of these are very, CDL-led campaigns. So number of campaigns we have done, but again, very, very early days. I think you'll see the magic coming in the next few quarters.
Excellent. The last one I want to leave our viewers with, right? You have a big stack of books behind you. For any aspiring entrepreneurs in gaming and esports, what's your recommended reading list?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I've come across multiple books on gaming. To be honest, there are a couple of books on esports and how esports evolved, etc. I'm yet to really get hang of a book on gaming that I quite like. The fundamental role I play in Router is that I think more of it from a business perspective and less of it from just a gaming perspective. I think there are much better people in our team who understand gaming and who understand this industry better than me and therefore are able to do excellent job on product, led by my co-founder Dipesh, who's outstanding the way he's built it single-handedly and built a tech in the product and the growth engine for Router. So a lot of business books is something that I have read over a period of time. I'm currently reading a very interesting book, which is very off the topic, but it's about how prime ministers decide. So this is an election year, and I was just trying to understand how do people at top, say, take a decision on anything that they do. So that I'm reading, and in fact, there's one very interesting book, which is essentially, it's a book called The Question Book. It's not a book. It's basically a book where there are about 650 questions. Okay. All you need. So it's a book is I picked it from the airport in my last visit to Bangalore. It basically says that a lot of questions that you ask others and you wish somebody asked you, right? Or if you are, say, a team leader and you need to ask a lot of questions in interviews to understand a person better, this is a fantastic book. When you sit down with the book with a pen in your hand, you would be amazed with the way you'll be able to think about yourself. I'm blown away. I take 10 questions I answer in 1 hour, but it's like self-reading. It's like understanding yourself. So I read a lot of things. I'm all over the place on books. But one book that really helped me start Router was How to Build a $1 Billion App. I don't remember the name of the writer. If you just search it on Amazon, you'll find it. It's a great book for us to understand how does an app get built? Because I never worked in a startup. I never worked in a tech company. So for me to start Router in 2016, I had no idea. Like I had few people who were working for me, but I had not done that before. So that book very categorically explains MVP, how to get the first users, when to go on to ecosystem like Android and iOS, how to monetize, when to get to 10 million downloads, so on and so forth. Perfect book. I always quote it. It's a great book. If you don't know anything about apps, just download or just buy that book and it will help you understand it much better.
Excellent. That's great advice. Last one, which has just come to my mind, outside of, the intellectually firing Piyush, what do you do when you want to relax?
I play 5 to 6 days a week, at least 60 minutes, mostly 90 minutes. I play squash or badminton. And when I play, my phone is on airplane mode and I don't check my phone. I don't do anything. So that's one clear thing that I do. And I haven't found anything better than that to relax me in the last 15 years. Good or bad days, it has always helped me. And then I spend a very, very high quality time with my son and my wife. Son particularly, because kids have this amazing way of taking you away from your mad world that you operate in and helping you be with them, become a kid, do things which you never do otherwise in your life. These are the two ways I'm literally surviving this roller coaster ride.
Amazing. Piyush, this has been an absolute pleasure. I've certainly learned a lot and I hope that our viewers have learned as well. Let's stay in touch and thank you so much for making the time today.
No, absolute pleasure. I hope I made some sense. I really liked your questions. Very, very, very different from what anybody else has asked. And I particularly admire you to talk more about monetization, because I think it's time. Industry is maturing and we have to start talking and, implementing monetization. So that was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
And with that, we've come to the end of what I believe was a very special episode on the AFK Gaming podcast. It's been a pleasure having Piyush, and if you've enjoyed and learned something new from this episode, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our podcast on all popular podcast platforms, and of course, share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Nishant going AFK.